That's fun.
I don't want to hear myself.
I
Sound like Snuffleupagus.
Say it again.
Yeah, Keena.
Yeah, Kenan.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Are
You
about to
ready?
go live, man?
Am I ready?
Yeah.
I'm just here.
Why do you keep talking like this? We had this discussion 2 weeks ago.
All right, we're live
Or
in
3
5,
weeks ago.
4, 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to the only radio station on the planet that matters. A new you global
Welcome. It is Tuesday again. We're here, same time, same place. One of the things we talked about last week was for the month of February, it's veterans and business. And we're still on that. The goal is to speak with veterans that are currently doing great things in business, whether it's a startup, currently in business, or have been striving. And that's the goal. So this week we have an awesome guest speaker. I'm a little biased though because he be doing all kind of stuff to help me with my business and my practice, and he's helped me as an individual on more than one level, spiritually, emotionally, when I'm he's there. And so my guest speaker today is Ken Haynes. Hi,
Hello.
Ken.
How you doing?
Wonderful. So the goal today is to talk to you a little bit about who you are and how you got to where you are. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So we're going to start with, where'd you grow up?
Grew up in Detroit, east side Detroit.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Near, if you want to know very specifically, near 7 Mile and Chrysler Freeway.
Okay. And as a child growing up, was military something that you were interested?
No, actually, the military came into play when I was in junior high school.
Okay.
One of the things that motivated me was my father promised us, all the children, that we can either get a car when we graduate high school, or he'll pay for the wedding if it was the girls.
Okay.
I wasn't that interested in either one of those.
Okay.
So in junior high school, they had a career day, and it had all the people come through, the Army, the Navy, Air Force, and then some individuals talked about their business, but the last people that came up was the Marines. And I got real impressed real fast.
Okay.
By the way they carried themselves and the way they looked, their clothes, and then the fact that they got to travel and go to school.
Okay.
So no one in my family had ever went to college.
Okay.
And that was one of my goals, and I knew my parents couldn't afford to send me. So military was a good idea, and I figured since I was going to do it, I was going to do the best.
Right.
And I joined the Marine Corps right after high school.
Right after high school.
Exactly 30 days after high school, I left and went to the Marine Corps.
Holy smokes. And
Yeah.
so, how did your family feel about you going? I know that was something that interested you, but since no one else did it, how'd that work out?
They hurt. Actually, I wasn't old enough to actually sign up when I graduated, because I graduated a little early. But I was going anyway, so my dad actually convinced my mother that it was a good idea to sign that paper before I left when I got 18 and wouldn't come back.
Oh, wow.
So, they were upset. They were a little scared and nervous. But, it was a good thing. The Marine Corps was definitely a blessing.
Why do you say that?
I got to travel around the world practically 3 times. And, I got to educate myself, which was very important from where I came up and grew up from. I wanted to work on airplanes and fly planes. I got to do a little bit of that when I was in high school, because I went to aeromechanics at that time. I think they renamed it now.
Okay.
But The Marine Corps just let me open my horizons. I went to Africa, Philippines, Hong Kong, Australia. So there's not that many people that grew up where I grew up that got to see those things.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
I mean, I'm trying to get on your level. I want my passport to be stamped with all them places too.
Yeah, it's nice to have some colors in your passport.
Of course. Okay. So break it down a little bit. You said you got educated while you were in the Marines. What kind of education?
Well, one, the Marine Corps is just like any other job, I say. My first part of my education was I was able to learn about airplanes and the equipment. So my first entire year and a half was just schooling,
Oh, wow.
total schooling in the Marines. So I got a chance to learn about electronics, the electronics on the airplanes, which is very heavy, very deep. And then actually went to college. They have, in the military, you go to school just like anyone else, except for there's no sororities to join. You're already
Sweet.
part of the big sorority.
Right?
Yeah,
That makes sense.
So, I did everything a regular college student would do, except for, living on campus. I took a lot of it while I was on the ship. Every 6 months, 4 or 6 months,
Wait, so
I was
Marines
on a boat.
go on ships? I
Yeah,
thought that was only Navy.
No, the Navy don't move without a Marine.
Ah.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's Marines on just about every Navy vessel.
Oh, wow.
Marine.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah,
That's not on the commercials.
That's not in the Navy commercials.
No.
The Marines are a little different military. Every other military to actually go to war, the Congress has to declare war.
Right.
But for the Marines, the president just has to point us in a direction, and we can go to war without Congress permission. So that's why the Marines are a little different. They have a bit of every other service: the Army, Navy, the Air Force. Marines do all of those things.
Yeah, I've noticed Marines tend to have very much pride in the in the organization. Because
Yeah,
of
it's
how
a
it
big sorority. Once a Marine, always a Marine is what they say.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what the commercial says.
Yeah, it is. It's a lifelong commercial.
Okay, so all right, so you joined the Marines, and how long were you in the Marines for?
5 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
now does that include basic training?
Okay, 5+ years.
Okay.
Yeah, basic training is about 4 years in the Marine. I think it's a
Huh?
little longer. 4 months. I'm
Oh.
sorry. It's 4
So
months.
wait,
It's,
what?
it's at least a month and a half longer than anybody else's that I can remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Left in August, came back in November.
Okay. All right. So, where was the first place you were based?
Not counting boot camp.
Yes.
You wouldn't believe it. Memphis, Tennessee.
Really? I thought you were gonna say like Hong Kong.
No, Memphis, Tennessee. I did. They had training there for the airlines and ground equipment.
Okay.
So that was the first place. Then Northville, California, which is a little island.
Mm-hmm.
Then back to San Diego, and then Hawaii was my last station for 4 years.
How's that?
Hawaii is the bomb, especially when somebody else is paying the rent.
Yeah, I heard it's quite costly depending on
Oh yeah.
what happens.
Hawaii is very expensive, but I was again just blessed.
Yeah.
You know, it was in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
but my rent I think was like $1,800 for a shoebox, 1 bedroom.
Shoebox.
Yeah. But I could see the ocean.
It was like right outside.
Oh yeah, just
You
walk
can see.
outside 2 blocks away.
That's awesome. All right, all right. So, what caused you to exit the Marines? Was your contract up?
Yeah, but I could have renewed. But my family, I got married right after I get in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
Had a daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and being gone on the ship for 6 months,
At a time.
every 6 months.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a little stressful on the family. Mm-hmm. And the thing that got me the most is when I came home after my daughter left 6 months, came back, and she didn't know who I was.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a little painful. So,
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
yeah, I just decided, I was going to get that one tour and get out
Yeah,
and finish everything up.
and go that way. So was your family in Hawaii with you?
Yeah, my wife and my daughter lived in Hawaii with me.
So do you know how they felt while you were gone for 6 months to be in a whole other country
Oh, yeah.
with no family?
Yes, I know exactly how they felt because I heard it every day.
By phone?
Yeah. Well, we were lucky. We had good friends that my wife got used to, and they actually had children about our age, about my daughter's age. So that was okay, but she's 6,000 miles away from her family, and back then a phone call was a little expensive.
Right.
So not a lot of that. But, it was stressful. I think more for her than it was me.
Why?
Because I was busy. I was working. I was building relationships with other Marines and working and doing stuff that I love with a lot of people. And, she was away from home and raising
No baby.
the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
for
So-
me to be gone for 6 months was a jump.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break here
Cool.
because we're going to go a little deeper after the break.
It's your show.
That was my
We're
bell.
gonna go a little deeper.
Was that my bell?
Yeah, you better start paying attention to the time.
No, I don't hear no
Because
bells.
because
I'm
he's
just
been
messing with
trying
you.
this bell thing, but I didn't
I'm
hear
just
it this
messing with
time.
you.
My bad. I kind of lost track of time.
No, we both did. I was distracted.
Well, I did it because it's harder when we don't start
I know.
exactly on time, so I don't.
No, you
gauge
no,
the
it was
time.
good.
I was
Actually,
messing with
y'all be like 11 minutes in the show. I normally tap you at 10.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
My
Boy,
bad.
I'll be getting little notifications or something.
You supposed to
Hi,
notifications.
Yeah.
Michelle said hi, Ken. You can wait back.
Which Michelle? Tell us
It's Michelle Lewis, who came in the office the other day.
Call me.
Michelle Ken said to call him tomorrow. That's so funny. What do you think so far?
On her break, she put the music.
Like it.
It's just like a radio show.
Okay.
We talk radio, but she play music inside her.
No,
We do.
Yeah,
It's
well-
weird for me here.
The commercial gonna be after this, right?
It took me a while, so sometimes, like when I first started the show, I'd actually put the headphones
she
back
got, yeah, we got
so that
this
I don't
commercial,
hear myself
and we
talking
got her
back to
commercial.
me.
We got
Because it
other
echo.
commercials of people coming
But,
in and just
because see,
paying
like,
commercials. And
prior to this show, I didn't even re-listen to my voicemail because I didn't like the way my
commercial.
voice
She got
sounded.
a lawyer.
So, or I would think I don't
I'm gonna play that
sound
after
the way
this
that you
song,
hear me.
And then I'm gonna play
Right.
her
Right.
commercial.
So,
You
And I'm
do.
going to the-
no, no,
We on
I
iHeartRadio.
sound different to me than
Yeah.
I think you
Because
hear
you hear
me.
your vibration.
Correct.
I don't hear your vibration.
Correct.
Yeah, I sound like Snuffle.
You see? And so that's the thing. And up until this point, like for the whole show, I refused to listen to my hair self-time. So even if I was recording a voicemail, I wouldn't re-listen to it.
Right.
And so now I'm forced to hear myself. And it's just like, no, this is too much.
Give me somebody else. I
Tell
don't
her, we got names for the young man.
Yeah. Michelle says she'll call you tomorrow.
I like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
On the radio show
but
now,
at first it was like, how do I navigate this? It's a lot. So sometimes you see he'll turn it off because
yeah.
I'm still trying to get used to it. And so it's funny because my mom always says, wow, you sound so different on the radio show.
Oh, really?
She says
Yeah,
that. And I
we
said,
had
well, what do
to,
you mean?
we
She
had to
says,
pay for,
well, did you know, so my mom still speaks patois.
patois.
So she speaks patois primarily, at least to us, but if she's at work, she'll speak English. And so she says to me all the time, you sound so properly
Right now, we up to
when you're on the radio.
I know. Yeah,
So she's like, wow, but even like how your English comes out. So, because see, patois would have been my first language too.
Oh, really?
So this is times I might say stuff and it'd be like kind of Jamaican. just slightly. And so she's like, no, you sound so
Okay.
proper. This is so good. And I'm,
Always sound
like,
like
I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm just talking normal. And she's like, yeah, but it's so cool. Your normal is nice. And I'm like, really? I still don't sound like me.
you sound like you. You just not used to hearing it.
Mm-mm. It's like
So this
not
is a
normal.
commercial right here.
Like my sky.
He was just listening to the commercial.
Oh.
You're making me want to get coffee, but I need tea.
I wanted decaf, but they didn't have none. They were like, well, we can brew it now. No, you can't.
Show right now. Okay.
But see,
Okay,
I think for you it's slightly different because you've actually listened to the show.
You think?
All right, well, you've asked me questions about some of the shows.
I know.
And so you did something.
Okay, I'm gonna take
So how does it feel actually being on the show,
All right.
though?
Bye bye.
I like it, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, he wanted to. Oh, my
That's
bad.
me.
You,
Yeah,
of
I'm
course,
out.
always. Yeah, I'm excited. I see you enjoying yourself and all lit up.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
Isn't it? when I'm in the office, I look like Medusa, like,
That's all over the place.
and only can talk for 2 minutes. Yeah, so what you say?
Don't keep up the kid, man. Yeah,
So how long is the break between?
Yeah.
Sometimes 2 songs.
I like to see
Yeah,
it in this
sometimes
environment.
3.
I felt this. So at first it was very unnatural to me. And it was more of my nerves than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
The more I do the show, the more comfortable I feel. And I feel like the true me comes out.
Yeah.
The true me has been out since the
For a
first
little
show.
while.
She over here talking about, I am.
I seen her.
I thought you said you don't want I knew
She
you
been
did
doing
something.
good since the first show.
Yeah, from the
She
first
tried to
show,
act all modest, like
She been like butter.
We're gonna try to throw that law degree away. I told her.
I'm like, right? You
Got some
gotta
work
talk
to
to
do.
people. You talk to people
She
for a
got
living.
people. She
Like
got people listening
she
to
know
her like
how to talk to
Africa
people.
though. Like,
Yeah.
I know, right?
they listen to her for real.
I didn't
Yeah.
even know that.
Let's start talking about Upton Law.
You see, I got my Skype on.
When I
today.
first had the meeting with her
Okay.
next door, I
What's the
knew,
name of the film?
like, she was like, I'm nervous, but I could tell by how she was talking to me that she was going to be good on the air. Because we
That's what he
clicked like
said.
this, like, hey, where are we going this weekend? Where are we going?
Hey, we was hanging out what was it, Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday.
Like, yeah, we're gonna just do this.
We went to a sipping shop without sipping. That's what we went to. Remember, she was like, where's the wine?
Yeah, y'all stop sipping.
No, we
It
didn't.
was that's what we were laughing about. It was
I
a sipping
was-
shop without
No
any
sip.
sipping.
Without any sips. So I was on Katrina's show last week. And it was me and another guest
I
speaker.
haven't heard her show.
You haven't heard my
Oh, her
No.
show.
You late.
Oh, her
Oh,
show.
man.
You late?
I'm like, you
They be
late.
on a show going crazy.
It's
I was like,
his
woo.
fault.
It's his fault.
Yeah, he should have told
your
me.
fault.
Send me a
Look at me
message
like,
or
it's-
something. You know I listen.
Uh-oh.
He
Yeah, you
did.
gotta listen to the show.
You should've
So there was another young lady that was here as a guest speaker.
Small one.
And so she actually
They
opened
all
the
small.
store.
Okay.
And
Well,
she
that's-
had a
Yes,
book
I'm
release at the
That's
same time on
TMRlive.com.
Sunday.
That's the
Oh, really?
I'll be back.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
okay,
where we
so
went to,
We
and
got
that's why it was a
two,
sip and shop.
radio stations
So
here.
right, she's
Oh, we got
selling books
SDM
and
Live,
clothes.
And we got New Global.
But I didn't
New
realize
Global,
it was
that's the guy that
called
owns
Sip
the
and
building.
Shop because that was
So
a
we
sip.
kinda like
sip.
partnered up.
So I guess
But
it was
I
supposed to be
already
wide.
running
Oh.
Live.
But I didn't even know that until she just said it.
You supposed to bring
Yeah,
your
yeah.
own wine.
What is his name?
I don't know.
Willie Finkel.
I don't drink on Sundays.
That's Willie.
I'm just
So
kidding.
actually, they on their way back and forth.
So I didn't even know there was supposed to be
But yeah,
sipping.
so we
I
had
thought we
kinda
were
like
just going
merged
to
together. He
support
was
her.
telling us about
And
he
because
trying
I
to
had
build a
met
network,
her on
we
the
already
show
had a
earlier in the
network.
week, it was like,
He
all
was
right,
like, well,
cool.
I just,
So she has a
supply the facility
shop
for
and it's
y'all,
like
and y'all just help me build my network.
one of these streets in Detroit.
If they get the
You know
video,
what
I
I'm
might do this
So we've
with
been doing good. Now we,
thing I was
it's
trying
so
to
like,
develop with
they've been asking
when the
for us
father
for
talks to
whole
his
lot
daughter.
with the radio. So we got
Ooh,
it.
that'd be
Yeah,
so
pushing
cool.
more so the film too.
girls
So it's gonna be
and
both.
females
We're gonna
that
be
come
filming
and ask
radio.
all those questions.
Those oh, that'd be so you should so do it.
Criminalized.
Because we so be having like relationship one-on-one.
30 seconds.
Okay.
That'll be
It's good though.
Oh my gosh. You gonna have a whole show or you wanna do it on mine?
I'm gonna do it on your. I'll
Okay.
start off on your.
That would be so dope. You should so do that.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Stop trying to look at my notes.
I already read though. I read those when I walked in.
Well. All right, welcome back. So as you know, usually while we're on break, well, it's break in the studio, but music is playing. We have fun. So one of the things we were kind of talking about is your transition, or at least that's what I want to talk about next.
Okay.
So we talked about how you got in, some of the things you were doing, active duty. Then you know, the contract ended. You said, you know, that was really beneficial for your family, and you came home, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so after being in Hawaii and traveling for years, on and off the ship for 6 months at a time, how did it feel to come back to Detroit?
Shell shocked.
Oh, really?
Yeah. By the time I got back, Detroit looked like Beirut, where I used to live.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it was actually to show you how bad it was. I actually passed my mother's house.
Ooh.
And I came back down the street.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, drove right past. My wife was like, "Hey, you just passed the house." I'm like, "What house?" Your house.
Right.
Because we actually drove from California all the way through, because I had my car shipped to California.
Got it.
And I drove cross country to Detroit. Drove right past the house, because when I got on the street, I didn't even know it was our street.
Wow.
It looked like Beirut.
Wow.
And, yeah, I said, I'm not staying over here.
Even though this is the house you grew up in.
Yeah, it was. Our house looked pretty much the same, but the block was bad.
Wow.
People were doing stuff that I wasn't used to seeing.
Yeah.
So it was a little shell shock, and you know, the discipline that you get in the Marines don't really exist out here on the everyday world. So the first month and a half, 2 months was I almost joined back up. Let's just say that.
Just because of how the previous experiences was and when you came home.
Right. Yeah. It was just a total shell shock. It was very difficult to reacclimate to civilian life. Yeah, it was hard.
Now, was it because of how you were being trained and like mentally what changed versus the people? Because I'm going to assume your parents and family were still the same.
Yeah, they were the same, and that was probably the problem. You know, most everyone I had grown up with, they were still doing the same thing they were doing when I left. And the Marine Corps has a tendency to grow you up very fast, especially when you're traveling and different countries and different environments. So when I got back, the area looked really bad, but the people were exactly the same as I left. And for my mentality, that was a big problem. You know, I don't like stagnant things. I don't like anything, even my business now and how I operate. If anything is always the same, where it gets monotonous, I'm going to walk away. I'm going to get out of it somehow. And to come back to the same thing I left 4 or 5 years ago, it just felt really bad.
So,
I
okay.
almost left the city again. I was just going to get back out. I was going somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what made you stay?
Family, you know, my wife was happy to be back with her family.
So you can give somebody the baby too here.
Yeah, you know, she had real babysitters, so, you know, my parents and her parents.
Right.
And my wife has a big family. It was 7, 8 of them.
Oh, wow.
So that was really good for her and my daughter. So I kind of tried to settle in, finish schooling, get a regular job, which was a little odd.
Interesting. The reason I say that is because, so Omar and his really good friend, who was his sergeant,
Right.
was on the show last week, right? And so the sergeant is from North Carolina.
Okay.
His last station was Alaska. He still lives in Alaska, even though he's now a veteran.
Yeah.
He's been in Alaska for years, okay? He goes home the other day to North Carolina, and he said he had a complete culture shock. He said it was too many cars on the road, and he didn't know what to do. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Then he had to drive, and he was just like, oh no, there's too much traffic. And so he's been out 6 months though.
Yeah.
And for the last 6 months, he hasn't really done anything. So I said to him, have you gone to the VA? And he said, no, he's not ready yet. He's not actually ready to fully transition into being a civilian. He doesn't know if he's mentally there because he was in the Army for over 10 years.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I was like, wait, what? That doesn't make sense because you always hear there's all these resources for veterans, especially on the process of you transitioning back into civilian world. Or is there?
I don't think there's any one or any organization that really helps with that transition. I equate it this way. It's like wearing a pair of shoes that fit really, really well and getting a pair of shoes that's two sizes too small until you need to walk in those. That's the difference. It's actually painful. It's a very stressful transition. And I did not experience a lot of war.
Okay.
So I can imagine what it would be like someone that experienced a lot of war. I had little bits and pieces, nothing major, but imagine being on high alert the majority of your life and then coming back to an environment where you have little spurts of it. So it's very hard to come down. I would just imagine for someone that actually experienced a long period of war coming down because it was tough for me.
Right. And you saw only a few. And that's what even Omar shared was that, because he went to Afghanistan, right? And so he says, during the process while you're flying to Afghanistan, because they're flying into Germany and Abu Dhabi, and he's sending me pictures. I'm like, woo, this looks great, right? He said everything was cool until that day that mission came.
Right.
And you got on the plane. And you knew at that point it was life or death. It was either me or you.
Absolutely.
Then you come back to civilian world and you think everyone, it's like fight or flight for everyone.
Right. And no one else is.
But no one else is fighting. Just you.
What the heck is wrong with everybody?
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what did you do? Did anything? Did you go to the VA? Did you talk to people? What did you do?
No. I always had this self-searching thing. Well, I question myself and everything. So that was the first part of it because it was very difficult for me to understand why nobody else was experiencing what I was experiencing. So I started questioning that inside myself. Well, why are you feeling that? Why are you having these experiences? Why does these people get on your nerves so quickly? So in that self-evaluation, you can start to come back and pull yourself out of it and calm your nerves and understand that everyone hasn't had the training or even the necessity to have the discipline level that you were trained in. From 17 to adulthood is when I was in the Marine Corps. So that molds you. So you just have to learn how to control that and how to put it in perspective that everyone hasn't had your experiences. And it took a little while. I mean, counseling probably would have helped.
Okay.
But, being out of the Corps by that time, those resources may have been there. I just didn't know about them, and I wasn't looking for them. I was just looking to reacclimate and enjoy my family that I hadn't had the opportunity to enjoy while I was in the service.
So if you would designate a time period, how long do you think it actually took you to transition to civilian world to where you were like, okay, I can now fully accept the idea that I'm here with my family and I got this new job and...
I mean, honestly, I would say probably about 8 months to a year to really reacclimate and to put down most of the things that wasn't necessary. You know, again, the Marine Corps and that life is high stress a lot of the time, you know. So to not live in that daily and to use it only when you need to, is just retraining myself. So, you know, I basically said it was 2 months for every year I was in the service almost.
Okay.
That it took for me to reacclimate different parts and go, okay, well, you don't need this all the time. So it took me about 8 months, almost a year to totally get, I think, calm, where things didn't aggravate me so much and I was able to deal with the day-to-day.
Okay. And so how long have you been out now?
I've been out a little while. Since 86.
Okay. All right. Sometimes don't judge me. So, as part of that, over the years, have you ever gone to the VA or American Legion or anything like that?
Yeah, after my first year when I, you know, kind of started leveling out, I went to the VA, the Legion. I actually used the VA to buy my first home.
Okay.
And I went back to school to finish, get my bachelor's degree in engineering. So I used the VA, and then, you know, I started going to the VA hospital for checkups first, and then to volunteer a little bit.
Okay.
When I realized, hey, you weren't the only one going through that stuff. So yeah, I started to associate with some of the different groups for probably my first 4 or 5 years after I kind of settled down.
Okay. All right. So, let me see. Oh, so thanks for that part. We're gonna take one more break before we let you go. But after this break, we're gonna talk a bit more about what you're doing now. It's part of the transition. I was like, was that my headphone? It just went
before we let go.
Yeah,
I was about to start singing before I let go.
No, because all of a sudden it went pew into my headphones and I didn't hear nothing. I was like, oh, maybe that means it's a break.
That in your headphone and
That had to have been the funniest question when he was like, so how long have you been out? He's like, funny you ask. That laugh, that's like, a minute.
Yes, you've been out longer than I've been born. I will answer that question, yes.
Before you thought of.
Yeah, probably was. No, I think my mom had thought about having a child in 86. You know? But they didn't act on it until 87. You know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah, you know, she was probably in her transition of coming from Jamaica to America. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think that's what that was.
So I've been out in the Marines longer than you've been on the planet. That's what you said.
Right.
In other words, yes.
Well, I know I wasn't thought of when you got out.
See that?
He said when he got back, he said he rolled down the block. He passed the house.
The whole house, like,
his wife, like, hey, that's how you back.
That's real stuff.
The funniest
That's
part,
crazy.
well, it's not funny, but when you said your brother's friend was like, it's too many cars.
Yeah.
Like, it's too many people. Like, that's
Because
how my
I've been
cousin
to
was.
Alaska, too.
I picked my cousin up from the airport when he first came back. And that was the, like, most silent. He's actually a lawyer now in California. He's an entertainment lawyer. But he was just like, when he first came back, I've never heard him that quiet. Like, he was so quiet in the car. Then, like, it was like he hadn't seen things. Like he was a baby, you know, that's just learning. It was kind of like, I didn't know what to say to him. I'm like, you hungry?
You hungry?
It was like,
It was one of them moments where you said you did not?
I mean, when you come out of that, like I seen, like we just see it in the movies. You know what I'm saying? And y'all actually live it,
It's a
so
different
that's a
world.
whole different world. It's
Yeah.
a whole different
It's
thing.
not the same, and then your level of trust. Because the things that I see people do, I'm always wondering, like, really?
Right,
is
right.
Is this really what you're doing?
Right.
You know,
Is that a result of the discipline that you get in, the regimentation and discipline you get in the military versus?
Yeah, and it's what happens in the Marines. You find out that your life has to have a purpose, and when you see people that seemingly have no purpose in anything they're doing, it's shocking.
Yeah.
You know, you start. I don't trust you if you're just walking around reckless and as a robot. My level of trust for you is gone instantly because I don't trust you. I don't know what you're capable of doing.
You'll get me killed.
That's the
No,
first thing
you
that will
won't.
come to mind.
Right.
Get you killed.
I've been trained for this.
Right.
Don't get yourself killed. You on your own.
So yeah, it's a whole different. Even now, I have to.
But he's not on.
I'm very
Is it still
careful
there?
He's an
because
inside
of when I see people and they're living with
He's
no
an inside
no
of the
purpose,
magazine.
nothing.
That's right.
You know, they're not living for anything. It's like you
That's
just a
the cover
robot. I
magazine.
can't trust you.
He's
That
an
means
inside of the
anybody
magazine.
can manipulate you. And
That's so interesting.
yeah,
We should have did a combined show, Keena,
It's heavy.
since we can to wrap up the whole. Cause I'm doing like I did yesterday. I did anti-cyberbullying. I did depression. We should do something. We should combine something when we wrap it up with this whole thing. You could
All right.
come back on my show. I like being on my show.
We had so much fun.
That's me.
She pretty much
On
finished. She got
Mondays.
like
Monday.
So I started.
Yeah, when I went on her show, it was
I'm gonna do
about.
both of y'all. When they
Come on,
do
you
the
can.
dad
Yeah.
talk to his daughters.
Oh, he has an idea. Oh, that would be so
Let's
good.
do that. When can we do that? We actually could do it. This I have.
It's
some
probably better to
time.
do it on her show.
I'm gonna do both.
Do both.
No, but I mean,
And
okay.
then I'm gonna start my. No.
Come on, dude.
No, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Show.
Dad
Yeah.
talk to his daughter.
Babe,
Why
tell
not?
him a show.
No, we
Yeah.
wouldn't.
He always been talking about doing a show. He ain't doing no
Oh,
show.
so you a talker?
Yeah, he's so busy though. He got a lot. Oh, what's up with the $1 million houses? Did you start auctioning off the $1 million?
I got one that we're doing. I'm waiting on my license. Southfield been giving me a headache about my
Oh
license.
yeah,
We need it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he got a program where he gonna be auctioning off $1 million houses.
Okay, well, we need to get one of them
That's
houses.
a boy. That's a
Well.
bad boy right there.
Well,
You should see the one we got now.
There
You
are
see
$1 million
my-
houses in South.
I ain't seen
No, I got a house. Well, I got a $500 million house in Farmington
Where?
right now,
I feel
3,600
like somebody
square
is
feet.
dancing on my
Babe,
YouTube.
yeah.
Oh no, I was
Is
talking
that
to
in
Keena.
Bloomfield Hills or what?
I got one we're looking at in
Clearly you're just having too
Bloomfield.
much
That's
fun.
4,200 square feet. I should have that
4,200
one
square
somewhere between now
That's
and
what
the
we need.
end of March. I'm just waiting on the bank to release it.
Okay.
We got one right now
He waiting on-
in Farmington. That's
for him to
probably
do that.
that might be the
He
first
ready
one we
right
raffle off.
We need space.
Yeah, I raffle it.
Like you buy the
So
raffle
rap-
ticket.
$125 ticket, $150 ticket.
We doing the filming for that. You know that, right? We
Yeah.
filming the talk. We gonna do the TV show.
Yeah, you gonna do the. You gonna
Me and
do
Keena
the
gonna be
circuit.
like,
That's gonna be a good
It
TV
is
show
going
right there,
down.
boy. Ain't nobody doing no TV show like that.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody doing
Rounding
no
off
like that.
Yeah.
Keena and I can host it. We can.
Yeah.
Yes, cool.
That'd be so cool.
This summer
Yes.
gonna be the
I think
blow
people
up.
would like
I
to
wanna-
see us together.
I wanna
Hey, let
be-
us know.
I want to be one of those auctioneers.
I got 150 over here, 250 over there. We so irritated.
So is it a raffle or auction?
It's a raffle. I'm not auctioning it off. It's a
So
raffle.
you can generate enough money from the raffle.
I've done it
cannot.
before.
Really?
Yeah, I
Keena,
raffled a
stop
house
it.
off
Make it
before
Facebook
in
said, do you want to be tagged?
in
Clearly it recognized you.
2009.
Okay.
But it was a small house, a Detroit house. I bought it for about $6,000. We raffled it off. Paid about $250,000.
That is freaky.
You kidding me?
See, they watching us. That's the government.
Oh, snap.
That is scary. That's spooky.
What she do?
I got on Facebook Live.
You ready?
Yes.
That's the government.
I'm fading out right now.
Okay. All right. Now, as you know, or you should know by now, this show is brought to you by A New You Global Radio. And we have Ken Haynes as our guest speaker for today. And he's allowing me to pull out all my questions and answer them, which I very much appreciate. So what I do want to talk to you about is, now that you would say the transition is over, you had gotten a job, you had your bachelor's in engineering and all that jazz, but I didn't meet you at that point.
No.
I met you when you were already in a position as an entrepreneur, right?
Absolutely.
And so tell me a little bit about that. How did you leave your job? Did any of the military skills and training go with this transition in entrepreneurship?
Well, I think I will always say that that level of discipline allows you to fight through just about anything. And
Okay.
the military training, one, taught me that only limits is myself. So once you can get past that battle, no matter if you get knocked down, beat up, fall down, break something, it don't matter. As long as you breathe in, you got a chance. So the military helped because the transition was tough. Because by that time I got ready to start my own business. I had I was an engineer, making over $100,000 a year. Family, 2 daughters, college coming, house, all those things. But it was just a fire to do something for myself and for my family that would transcend what everybody else in my life had done, which is just have a job, work to pay bills. So the military helped, and I think the big thing was that drive that you learn, that you can do anything. It's one of the things that you learn. It's beat into you in the Marines.
Got it.
Especially.
Okay. So what do you do now as part of your business?
Well, now I have 2 businesses.
Okay.
One, a financial services business where I help small business and nonprofits get money for their projects. I help them restructure and to build and grow their business or their nonprofit organization. And I also have a property management company where we manage properties, apartment complexes for out of the country investors, and we also have our own property.
Oh, wow. Look at
Yeah,
you
we're
doing
having
big
fun
things
right now.
in Detroit.
Yeah.
So do you expect great successes in 2019 for both of these businesses?
Always, success is just a mind state, and my mind is stayed on being successful.
Business excellence right here. Okay, so let me ask you this. Now that I'm in business, there are days when these are things that I didn't expect
Right?
that are happening, right? So I didn't expect the moments or the days when my heart is beating fast and I can't sleep and I wake up in the middle of the night with this new grand idea and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to make it work. Do you still have those?
Yeah, it's called being a Marine. That's what you're feeling.
The adrenaline.
Yeah, a lot of people look at those things and what they call failures or mistakes in business, and they look at that as a negative thing. But what I've learned is simply everything that I went through, and I went through I lost a lot of money and a ton of time. I've lost over $500,000 with one mistake.
Wow.
In my life. But I call that Harvard education because I learned from it, I grew from it, and I built myself to the point where that can never happen again. So when you get your heart rushing and you can't sleep, look for the solution. Don't worry about the problem. There's always going to be an issue. There's always going to be something coming up. But I'm a solution-orientated person. Who cares? The problem's going to go away. Solution's always going to be there. It's always a solution.
I just don't understand. Every time we talk, even in the office, you got this zen, like, I'm calm, cool, and collected. I just don't understand. How long have you been in business to where you get to this point now where you're like, I'm so used to my heart beating fast. Oh, this is
about
nothing.
19 years.
Oh, got it. Okay.
But, I mean, it's always, you have to decide that you're not going to be afraid of what the world calls a mistake. I mean, anybody that you look at that's successful, they don't talk about their mistakes because they're not mistakes to them. They were just bridges that you crossed from one side to the other to your level of success. And without that, it's no fun. If you're not enjoying yourself and looking at these things as opportunities to get better, then you're never going to make it in business. Matter of fact, I'll just say you're not going to do well in life because we all have problems. We all have issues. You know, I went a lot of times with things that people would give up. I went almost a year without electricity in my home. I went a whole winter with no gas. But we handled it. You know, we made it through. Me and my wife now sit back and laugh and talk about those times and go, you know, we did this. I'm like, yeah, we hit a little fire burning in the basement. But we made it. You know, we never worried about that time. Only thing we did in those times was figure out how to make it as easy as we could. We never focused on it. Once that time was over, we kept pushing forward and never looked at it again. And said, what did we learn? We get that and keep moving forward.
Wow.
So it's not a necessarily what you say Zen thing. It's just understanding that this life brings good things and it brings bad things. The thing you focus on the most is what you get the most. So I don't focus on that.
I ain't over here a philosopher. Got the bell on that one. I don't even know what to say after
That
that.
was a word.
Woo, I need to reflect on that myself. But it's true, right? A lot of times, even when you get into business at the start of it, even if you have your business on paper, the biggest concern is, how do I not have those bad days? And so you don't really realize, well, wait, they come together.
Absolutely.
For every good, there's going to be something you don't like. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's a failure.
I don't really believe in failures. There's no such thing. I mean, because when I was a baby and I got up and I tried to walk, I'm sure I bumped my head a lot of times.
That's true.
I don't remember it. I just know I can walk.
Yeah.
So why focus? If I was a child and I focused on those things, I would have quit then. I would have been still crawling. That's how life is. There's no such thing as mistakes. The world tell you that to keep you from getting success. But the fact is that everything that you do leads you to somewhere that you want to be. Now, if you stop, then you're going to get stuck where you're at. If you worry about problems or situations or what's going wrong in your business, I'm sure there's some things going bad in my business right now. At this point, I'll let other people take care of it. I'm not going to worry about it because I'm going to persevere and push forward. It'll fix itself.
But I guess, isn't that the same even on a job?
I think so. I think it's the same in life, period. You know, relationships. I've been married 36 years.
Wow.
We had some great times. We had some not so great times. I don't remember the not so great times.
Yeah. I like that. Okay, so let me ask you this. Did you have a mentor in any way to assist you on the entrepreneur side?
Yeah, a few over time. You know, some I outgrew, you know, because I can't take other people's vision, just advice. When people have been through something that I'm going through, that's a mentorship. But to be honest with you, my true mentor is my God. That's who I focus on. That's who gets me through. That's the one person that hasn't made any errors. So I keep my focus on what he wants for my life and how my life is structured. But there's been people in my life that helped me through certain areas. But my goal is to outgrow everybody that I run into. I want to just have my own success. I want to have my own vision in life. So I'm always trying. If you're my mentor today, my goal is to get rid of you tomorrow.
Boom.
You know?
Okay. So, woo, you killing me.
It's just
No,
life.
but that makes sense because I've always heard the saying, you don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room. So some people tell you, you want to be the smartest person in the room so everyone comes to you. But I was also told that you want to be the dumbest person in the room because that builds your strength. As you're sitting and learning and talking with other people, but you're flicking your eye like you don't agree.
Well, knowledge comes from the one that gives knowledge, and that's wisdom. That's only God. So if we're in a room together, I might know something in an area that you don't know. That don't make me the smartest guy in the room.
Good point.
You know, that's all ego. I don't care who you are, what you do, how smart you are in this area compared to that area. If you have something to offer, and I have something to offer you, together we got something.
Win-win,
So,
yeah.
you know, I don't judge people on what they know in the moment or don't know. Some of my best knowledge that I got came from people that a lot of people will walk by. You know, so I don't judge people on those things. Wisdom and knowledge and education, you know, worldly education could be one thing. It get you a long way in life. But wisdom can take you from the worst place in life to the best place. So I'm always looking for people that have wisdom, and that changes as I move along. That's why I won't stick with one particular mentor or one particular person or thing like that, or somebody else's belief systems. You know, I'm focused on my God and just trying to be the best me I can be and enjoy it while I'm doing it.
So to me, it sounds like, see, I always got this impression, right, that the longer you are in business, you get to start coasting, where you've reached a level that your heart will stop beating fast. But it sounds like you are continuously challenging yourself.
Yeah,
You're
the moment
continuously
you
pushing.
stop having that heart beating fast, you want to quit. You might as well die.
Oh, wow.
What's the purpose of doing anything in your life that don't exhilarate you, that don't make you push yourself? What is the purpose?
I don't know.
You will get so bored, you probably shoot yourself.
OMG, but that makes sense.
I couldn't imagine life without challenges. I couldn't imagine a life without pushing myself. I mean, I'm a little older than you, but guess what?
Just a little bit.
I feel like I'm 19. I do the things in life that I want to do. I hang out with young guys, play football in the park when I want to, and I'm always pushing myself. I can't beat them anymore running, but I push myself to give them a heck of a try.
That makes sense,
So
though.
I think that's a fallacy.
Yeah.
Even the ideal of retirement, you know, people looking to retire. Why? What you gonna do? Sit down and watch Oprah?
But see, that's what I said. I mean, there's a point where you think you're going to get to where you get to coast. But it doesn't change the fact that even if you're at a job for 5 years, you now want a promotion. If you get a promotion, more money, there's going to be new challenges with the promotion. If you date someone and then you get engaged, there's a new level to this game. And then when you get married, there's another level to it, right?
Absolutely.
And during the marriage,
always
there's
a
levels.
challenge. But we're coasting now.
Yeah.
I mean, you're actually coasting. You just don't know it. When you look back in your life, you're going to look at this moment and go, oh, it was easy for me then.
Correct.
Because it's going to be a little harder for you.
Yes,
we're always
that makes
coasting.
sense.
We're never pushing ourselves as much as we can. And I think that's the secret. Look for those things that challenge you. Look for those things that make you wake up in the morning and go, I got to get at this. You know, I'm up in the morning and I'm having fun. That's why I enjoy seeing people like you growing your business, radio show. I'm impressed.
Oh, this was your idea?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. You got to give credit where credit's due.
Like my guy say, ain't I right about
Oh my gosh, I can't mess with Casino. He clearly not giving me my cues. So I think we can wrap up here. If you'd like to share, even if it is the name of your business, so that if people wanted to reach out, or, I mean, they may have a small business or a nonprofit that needs funding, that they can come and contact you.
Absolutely. Well, my main company is Triad Resource and Development Group.
Mm-hmm.
We're in Southfield. Thanks to Casino, my website is triad.com. You can find us there. But we're absolutely, if you're trying to build your business and grow your business and figure out ways to increase your life and around your business, I'm here for you. I'm here for people that's pushing themselves. And I love doing what I do.
Yes,
And
I've
through God's
noticed.
grace, I'm going to be here for a little while.
So do you mentor people?
I seem to. You know, I got a lot of people I'm trying to push to outgrow me. But a few people I like helping, and they say I'm mentoring them, like you.
Yes!
You are doing fantastic.
Thanks,
and if God gave me the ability to help you, I'm excited about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I take everything you say, I write it down, I recite it to myself.
Don't get me and you in trouble.
Oh gosh, Jesus be fits. Anyway, well, thank you again for coming on the show. I so appreciate it. For everyone else, you know, next week again, we're doing another episode of Veterans and Business, and we'll have another guest speaker. So hopefully you'll be able to tune in. As we've discussed, business is something that is of value to us. I also have a business, Upton Law PLLC. We're here to help. Ken's here to help. Just let us know what you need. Until then, same time next week, Tuesday at 6 p.m. See you then.
Yeah, let's say your name.